Good morning, guys. Well, it's morning for me. Happy whatever time it is that you are watching this. We are back in the hoop house. If you watched yesterday's vlog, you saw that I had a lot of these little, I don't know if they were caterpillars or worms, whatever they're called. It was a bunch of them, and I took out as many as I thought I could, and then until I didn't see any more, and now just come back out here to check on it because I'm going to be pruning my tomatoes in here, and some have fell over, and just it's a mess in here, a tomato jungle. And there's more. Let me show you. So whatever these little, I don't know what I would call them, but I got out as many as I could yesterday, and now they seem to be back at the top of the soil, just walking around. So what I'm gonna do is try and scrape this all off. I thought I came out with garden gloves. I think they're in the garden, so I'm gonna have to go get my garden gloves so that I can get some kind of container. Probably use one of these containers to, as I'm scraping, put them in there. And then I have meat chickens that are right across the way, and I'll probably just dump them over there to them. But then I'm also going to be using a shovel to dig down in the soil and just add some neem meal, because neem meal is supposedly really good at repelling like in soil insects. So we'll see if that does its job. And at the same time, we'll also be pruning after we get all of these caterpillars or whatever they are. If anybody has any ideas on what these bugs are, please let me know. I don't know if they would be considered a centipede or caterpillars or what. And they definitely don't seem like they're good for the soil. And they crawl up into little, can you see that? Into little circles. You can see, like, I scraped over here, so all of these have turned into little circles. They're actually all around the base of that tomato plant, which I'm gonna need some more soil to cover that back. But I definitely want to get them So I just did a little research, and I think I have millipedes. I was looking, and it said that they do curl up if they've touched, and so I think these are millipedes, which is so crazy. They said that they like dark, moist, decaying matter, and since this bed has lots of what is it called, leaves on top, and it is moist, because like even these tomato leaves are moist right now because just the humidity in the morning and like the dew, or the humidity during the throughout the evening, and then the dew overnight into the morning, they the tomato plants are like dripping wet right now. And I thought, like, I got like that whole container out of millipedes and spread the soil, didn't see any. And as I've been sitting here research, I just looked back up, and there's like thousands more that just popped back out of the soil. So I am going to leave them now that I know that they're not going to be killing my tomato plant. What they did say is that if they do run out of food in the soil, then they will start eating the roots of your plant. Unfortunately, right now that's not a problem because they don't seem to be eating my tomato plants. They're just like really, really creepy, and I didn't know what they were. So I still am going to add neem meal to these beds, but first I want to start pruning them. I have my pruners. I did bring pruners in here because you can see these tomato plants are looking very wild. I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think there's like 5 Grand Marshalls in here, and I always forget if Grand Marshall is actually a determinate or indeterminate tomato. Not all of them are Grand Marshal. Some are names I don't remember. I have to check my phone. But the ones that, so I'm going to look up which kinds I can prune and which kinds I'll leave. And then I probably will prune, like I said, just the bottom, because the rest of the tomatoes in here are indeterminate, which means I want to prune them to a single stem. Okay, I just looked up my phone. Those are not Grand Marshal, those are triple crop, which they are indeterminate, which means I can prune them to one stem, which is what I'll do unless I see fruit already forming, then I'll leave that. But for the most part, so the triple crop, I have Stellar, and then I have Blush Paste, which I think the Stellar is determinate and the Blush Paste is indeterminate. But again, as I'm going through, I'm going to start right here in the middle with these this triple crop. They said it is an extremely long and productive heirloom tomato variety that thrives in greenhouse settings, and they supposed to get really large tomatoes, 1 to 2 pounds. I did try to grow them in here last year, and it was actually my tomato that lasted all winter, all the way until, I think it didn't die until like January or February. And so it did last a really, really long time before, I think it got down to 15 degrees before it died, and it had a really big tomato on it. So I'm really excited to grow these and them not die this year. So this does look like a jungle mess right now. I think I'm just gonna start at the bottom and then work my way up. And I'm not going to be, since these already have like spots on them or anything, I'm not going to be keeping them. I'm going to throw them outside. Well, that was really, really long. But it didn't have any fruit producing, so I don't feel bad about tossing it. Y'all, I totally just made a mistake and cut off the actual main plant. And it had a tomato already forming right there. Like, it had actually, like, some are smaller, but I cut off the actual main plant and just left this, which was a sucker. So now I'm going to have to keep this. This is Stellar. I'm gonna have to keep this, and it's just gonna be behind the rest of them, and I'll prune this to a single stem. It's kind of like just starting all over basically, but I definitely just sucked the production out of this plant by accident. I thought I was cutting this one, and I accidentally got the wrong one, which is really unfortunate. That's so sad. That literally had about already, like, definitely more than 5 tomatoes, but that one I showed you was like the biggest. So we're gonna be starting over with that one. I'm gonna be more careful and not cut off the main stem. So this one's not the main stem. I just went down towards the bottom and I snipped, which I thought I did to the other one, but I snipped the wrong stem. So this is a complete sucker. Okay, so I got that one done. Fortunately, that one is basically starting all over. But now you can see the only one I didn't prune was that first one, because that is a determinate tomato. And so I left that one alone, but I pruned the 5 Grand Marshals, and these last 2 were Stellar, and I did get some casualties where I pruned some suckers off of the Grand Marshals, and they did have some tomato buds, but there weren't actually any tomatoes, so that was nice. But I needed to get, like, these foliage is huge. Like, that leaf is bigger than my hand. Like, it's so big that I had to get these under control. These are actually I think those are actually seeds that I saved myself. And so if I'm not mistaken, I had a tomato, a triple crop that I saved and seeds for, and I think that's what is growing here, if I am not mistaken, which obviously second year plant, that means it's already used to your climate and all the things, and so I'm hoping that's what that is. I'm gonna prune that one, even though it's not a sucker, it was just in the way. Oh, now I can actually see that there's a tomato forming right here. There's a baby tomato. It's just low and hanging, and just give it some more flow at the bottom, especially because there's no tomatoes growing down there. So the first leaves, oh, there's a tomato there too, or right here. So I finished with one bed, 4 more to go. Okay, I want to show you the finished product. All of the tomatoes look so much better. There's airflow going on. I have them holding on with the little clips, or some are going through the plastic. As long as they're up from the soil, it's fine by me. All of these look good, and then some of them I did just tie them, leave them tied onto this string to take away from, or kind of get airspace back there, airflow, and then some I just left on here, like this one's on a string and the one next to it is on a string, but then the next 3 are on the back, and then this last one I just left hanging here because it seemed like it would be a tight space to try and put it right there when there's already a lot going on. And so what I was thinking was, what I may do is come back, do another string in here, and then tie it up so that I get it going up this way. But right now it's pruned and there's airflow in here, praise the Lord. And now my girls are gonna help me get all of my trays. I had all my trays nicely stacked after I finished using them, but they were low enough where the puppies could get them, and they came in here and destroyed all my stacks and ate a bunch of like plasticky that were super bendable because they were teething. So stuff like this I'm gonna throw away, and the rest that are still looking good we're going to keep. Now that we started collecting all of the things, which is so I feel like an accomplishment for me, because usually I don't start cleaning up and collecting all my containers until like the season's all the way over and I'm trying to get ready for next season. But I have all of, I think that's all of my pots over there. They're not clean or anything, but they are all stacked together. And now I need to worry about this shade cloth. The shade cloth I am going to try and put back on the Hoophouse, or have my son put it back on with my help, but not just yet. It's not getting that hot outside just yet. Like, we've just started getting temperatures into like the mid 80s or like the low 80s, but it hasn't been consistency. We still had nights that fluctuated, and so I don't want to go ahead and put the what is it called, shade cloth onto the Hoophouse until we're probably, the sun is getting higher in the sky towards the summertime, because we do have a tree right here and then we have a tree on this side, so when the sun is like right over these trees, this back part of the hoop house is shaded. So like right now I'm standing in complete shade even though I'm in the hoop house, but then when I start walking towards the front, like right about here, the sun seems like right now it's shaded. I mean, it's cloudy, but the sun is like right above me, so it hasn't even crossed the sky yet. And so to avoid my tomatoes getting leggy and not getting enough sun, I'm just gonna hold off on putting the shade cloth back on. But I do have that at the back, and we have all of our trays, like I said, in here. And now that we have everything off of the ground, I can work on, and we took away all of those broken trays, I can work on probably getting another load of rocks in here, which isn't like a priority or anything like that, but just saying in general. Something I've never done before, we did end up putting all of the tomato leaves that looked good in, this is my worm bin right now, and then we just smashed it down and cover it back with this straw. But I do have red wigglers right there at the top here, and I have some at the bottom. And so my hope was that they can use some of that greens and they can just decompose in there. Like I think it was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I added comfrey in there and they broke that down. And so, and I still have worms, red wigglers underneath my rabbit manure, and I did see that it's getting full, so I'm gonna have to clean that out. I could probably add that into that bed that I'm struggling with in the garden, but that's a whole nother thing. Thank you guys for hanging out with me as we got the hoop house tomatoes all situated and done, and we cleaned up the hoop house a little bit. So that was really, really nice, and I'll have to catch you guys on my next video. Bye guys.